What's going on, y'all? Chuck Dunface here. Got an interesting little knife on the table. This is the American Service Knife, a subdivision of Medford Knife and Tool. If you hear a little music in the background, that's my son. He's playing a
Incredibox.
Incredibox, is that what it's called?
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's called Incredibox, and it's like a music-making game? Beat-making game? Something like that? All right, cool. So that's what my son is doing right now.
If you hear music.
If you hear the music, that's right. So, yeah, it's an interesting piece. So obviously, it conjures up images of the Swiss Army knife. Of course, that's going to be the first thing that comes to mind. But it's a little bit different from the Swiss Army knife. Okay, and we'll kind of go over some of the specs on this guy right here. So, as it sits, it is from end to end. It's about 1, 2, 3. It's about just 3.3 inches long. And it's going to be equipped in any kind of configuration that you really want. So in this case, it's going to be equipped in, let me see if I can clean up that blade a little bit, because it is a little on the smudge side. But it is about a 2 3/4 inch blade, something like that, 2.75 inch blade, yeah. And so that's going to be the main blade. So you can get these configured in lots of different ways. This happens to be the drop or spear point, but they also have a Tanto version. They have, I believe, a Warncliffe version you can get with this. And then you can also outfit it in the tools that you like as well. And we'll kind of get into more of that later. So it is going to be a non-locking knife. It's a slip joint, similar to, obviously, a Swiss Army knife. And interestingly enough, it does have a little bit of a breaker there too. And if you've watched my video on glass breakers on knives, I have become a big fan of glass breakers on knives. Okay, so, it is diminutive, as you can see. There it is up against I'll take the blade out again, if I can. Where is the nail nick? This is something different for the channel for me. I don't normally carry knives like this. And let's see also, we'll do it this way. And we'll also see Mannix 2, kind of where it sits. So Native 5, Mannix 2, where it sits in kind of the EDC profile, so to speak. All right, so that kind of gives you an idea right there. And so, yeah, it is pretty modular, and as you can outfit it in any way that you want. Now, I will say right now, too, if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. I certainly would appreciate that. It definitely helps me out. Each subscription that I get, those of you that have subscribed, I thank you. Drop a comment and let me know what you think of this knife right here, what you think of it so far. Have you ever had one of these? And go ahead and hit that like button as well. Certainly would appreciate that. So this is part of, it's an Instagram group called the TravelingASK. And so it's run, oops, just hit the table. It's run by my friend on Instagram, PuroDailyCarry. And so basically he's sending this knife around to a bunch of people on Instagram and kind of getting their opinions, and hopefully they make posts on it. Okay, so that's where he is, City of Far. Got some stickers in the box too. It comes with a log. Nobody's written in this yet. Maybe I'll write something in. They can't see you, buddy. If you want to put your thumb in the video. Can't see you.
I don't know.
All right, thank you. That's my son right there. And let's see what else is in here also. Kind of got a tool. So right there. So this is all American made. There's everybody's favorite, Greg Medford. And yeah, so there's some cool stuff here. And yeah, like I was saying, part of the TravelingASK. And so this is my turn with it. And then I'm going to be sending it off when I'm done out to Nebraska. And so this is stuff that I haven't actually looked at a whole lot yet. So you can outfit it with different tools. This looks like it's going to be a hex wrench and a scraper or a little pry right there that you could put in. Is there a bit holder? I don't know if there's a bit holder. Oh yeah, because you could do this. You could put the bit, this is going to be a T25, but any side, you could do that. You can have yourself a bit driver right there. All right, cool. This is... Let me know in the comments what this is. I think it's some sort of valve wrench or something like that. What do you think it is?
I know what it is.
What is it?
It's like an accessory.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, hold on. I got the blade open.
You have to use screws to attach it somewhere.
Yeah, you can take this whole thing apart. and you can put different tools in it.
You replace it with something like this right here.
Yeah, you're right. You would do something like that. So you could take this out, and this part right here. In fact, this is kind of going to get to one of the negative things. I can't get these tools out with my fingernails to save my life. The spring is too tight. I have to use a tool in order to get out the tool. So that is something for me is a big, a big negative. Like that is really in there tight. Like I can't believe how tight that is.
That looks tight.
That's crazy. So yeah, you could take this screwdriver / can opener, bottle opener, whatever it is out. You can put it in this little guy right here, whatever this is supposed to do. Like I said, I think it's a valve wrench. Or you can put in this awl right here, a threading awl. And if you don't like the idea of the glass breaker, you can replace that with this little tool right here and not have a glass breaker in there. And then the other tool in this right now is going to be, that's a little easier. So this is a scraper, and right there, that scraper's sharp. It for real is sharp. And then this is going to be a hex driver as well. So it looks like it would probably, yeah, you could use it in here, but you could also go smaller sizes, and you could work that down as well. So as configured, it's a 3-tool. You can get it in a 4-stack as well, where you can have 2 different blades. You can have no blade and different tools. So you could have like 4 shorter tools and no blade. You know, you could definitely be able to configure this thing however you would want to. And then of course it's got different scales as well. So it's really modular. So this one right here, it's got, let me see. Got some orange scales, got some camo scales, some digicam action. So yeah, pretty cool. I mean, I'm not going to change it around. I'm going to keep the American flag scales on there. So I'm going to keep it as is. Let's see what else is in here. I think there was something else as far as some information. Oh yeah, okay, well, I'll kind of get back to the Traveling ASK, the American Service Knife. Thank you for checking out the Traveling American Service Knife. Part of this project is to showcase the knife making its rounds. I would love if you post pictures or videos with it, especially if they're of the knife being used, using the hashtag TravelingASK. Unfortunately, the hashtags on Instagram don't work anymore, so using that is kind of pointless. So if you're still using hashtags on Instagram, you're wasting your time, especially if they're knife related. They're going to get buried. You're not going to see them. They don't post anything on there. So just a PSA on that. If you don't have social media, please email your content to travelingask@gmail.com. Cool. American Service Knife is 100% USA made, modular, customizable pocket knife that uses CPM steel. So I believe this is S45, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. It doesn't say on the blade, does it? Maybe it does. Let me see. I don't see it anywhere on the blade, but I believe it's CPM S45 on these, S45EN. But in any case, moving along. And titanium components of tool and blades can be moved around or swapped out for another tool that may have more utility for your uses. Feel free to take the knife apart and explore its modularity. Just be sure to include everything you receive and say blah, 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 blah. All right. Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, so it's kind of a fun little project, and I'll be sending this one off to Nebraska next. So my overall opinions, well, let me backtrack a little bit. So this knife was released about 3 or 4 years ago, and when I was actually talking with some guys from Medford, one of the guys from Medford, I don't even know if he's there anymore, and he was talking, it was right before this knife was released, and I was saying, you know, so you're going after the Swiss Army knife market, and he was like, no, he's like, we really can't compete with that. It's a different price point entirely. And, you know, the Swiss Army knife is so popular, it's so ubiquitous. I don't think we're really trying to go after that market. They're mainly trying to kind of say this can be an additional knife that you could have. Or, strike that, hold on one moment. An additional tool that you could have instead of carrying something like a Leatherman. Now, here's a Leatherman. I generally keep this in my bag that I kind of take with me on a daily basis. Leatherman Wave. And so this is certainly a more convenient form factor than a Leatherman. So it's really designed to be, you know, you carry your regular EDC knife maybe, and you just use this as, it fits very easily in the pocket, and this would be something that you would carry as an auxiliary. Okay, or maybe use the blade when you're kind of in an environment where pulling out a knife wouldn't be the most, you know, you're around people where maybe it's not, you know, cool to pull out a knife, something like that. So yeah, it definitely has some use in that capacity, I think. But yeah, what the guy from Medford was telling me, this was never designed to replace the sack. It was more to augment your everyday carry. And, you know, somebody might keep a Leatherman in their car, not necessarily have it on them, but they could have this on them, and they can take, you know, the most valuable tools that they might use on their Leatherman the most often. Maybe it's the driver, maybe it's an awl, something like that. The scraper, screwdriver, any one of those things, and they could take that and they could outfit their ASK knife, their ASK, instead of carrying the Leatherman, and kind of get access to their most used tools that they would normally just use their Leatherman for. So that was kind of the target market on something like this, just to not take away really market share from the sack, but go ahead and add something to the EDC market in general. So all of that being said, for me, it's not my favorite thing in the world. It really isn't. I think it's a cool concept, and I like this knife, and I love Medford knives. I think they're fantastic, and I like the fact that they're doing this. But it's really just not something that I think I would carry. First of all, the price point is significantly higher than something like a Swiss Army knife, where I think you can get it outfitted, you know, comparably and spend a lot less. Now, Swiss Army knives can get expensive as well, but I mean, the price point on these starts at like $140, something like that. Don't quote me on that. Go ahead and do your own research, but it's something like that. Now, granted, the tools are going to be, in my opinion, they're going to be more robust. I mean, that is thick stock right there, you know. And just look here in the Leatherman, the stock on, you know, the serrated knife in this case, compared to the stock thickness of the ASK, significant difference in blade stock thickness. Okay, so it's quite a bit different. The thing, though, that really would kind of keep me from picking this up would be just the fact that I can't get these dang tools out. Now, a lot of it is more of a me problem, I think, because I have these weak fingernails, or at least they seem weak to me, and I feel like I'm going to fold my fingernail over, and it just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like, I can't deal. I don't like doing it, and so I need a secondary tool in order to get those things open. Now, maybe it can be adjusted by loosening up this, but it doesn't seem, it's really not something I want to get into since I'm going to be handing this off to the next person. So, you know, the other thing is, you know, I have my Leatherman and I don't need it all that often. I probably should carry it on me more. It's just kind of in my bag. But I really don't need it all that often. And I can always go for that. I mean, I would imagine there is a place for this, but in my carry, I don't know if I would really go for something like this specifically. I mean, really the only tool I can access on this is the blade, and the other two I can't even get out. And so with the back springs, maybe they're just too tight. Now, I'm also not a slip joint guy, and so I can't really tell you all about walk and talk and half steps and quarter steps and all that. I will say that this doesn't seem to have the greatest walk and talk, if that's what it is. It doesn't have that snap back with authority. It has kind of more of a lazy go back into the, you know, lazy closing rather than that clack that you get on some. It's kind of a lazy close. So I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe this knife just needs to be tuned a little bit. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to mess with it too much. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of showcase it. I think it's a cool thing that Medford's doing with the ASK. Ultimately, it's not for me, but it is a very cool piece of EDC kit that I think a lot of people could find some good use for, especially if they're looking for something American-made. They've got this option right here. So all that being said, that's going to do it for me on this one. I'm going to be sending this off to Nebraska next. I want to give a big shout out to my friend PuroDailyCarry, who sent this, or who put me on the list. This came from New York last. I don't even know who sent it last, but yeah, it's going to be going off to Nebraska next. So all that being said, thanks for checking out the video. I certainly do appreciate it. Y'all, if you're subscribed to the channel, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. James, you want to say anything else to send us out?
Make sure to like and subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss another video.
Click those notification bells so you never miss another video. Great job, James. Pound it. Peace, y'all.